Hello everybody, welcome back to SketchCraft Art Tips. Alright, hey folks, I'm knee deep in deadlines. This is me in work mode right now, so I'm not all prep, no colorful lighting around here. Just working my ass off. But I received a question, and I received some art help on some coloring. So I'm gonna do the question here, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do the coloring things. What's the question? The question, oh wow, look at that. Just turn on the pink lighting. Hold on. Hey, Brandon. Brandon's going to join me in on this one. Brandon, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Let me switch that around. This is what happens when...
I kind of like the pink lighting.
I don't. I just want to hit the... You know, man, it's like, all I wanted to do was just have normal fucking lighting, bro.
It wouldn't be a podcast if it didn't go off the rails.
Something had to go off the rails, and it's the fucking lamp. Like, this is the craziest fucking thing. I cannot get it. So you hold this button down, and it's supposed to turn to white, except there, right?
Hey, Darth.
It's close enough. Turn that one to white, and we're going to turn that one. Okay. Oh, folks, it's just... Brandon, you've witnessed the last few days around here.
It's been controlled chaos.
Yeah. Anyhow, what's the question? So I got this question... from Eric Moretto, who asks, and I say his name because he's right in the, he posted in the YouTube channel. So, he says, "Hey, Sketch, I was wondering how I started doing animation style drawings. Did I learn to draw animation style in college or before college? He's 32 years old and wants to learn how to draw in the animation style. And do I think that he should go to Full Sail Online to learn the animation style of drawing? Thank you, and you're an amazing artist." So the first thing I told Eric to do after, first thing I said is, don't do anything yet. Let me make a podcast. And that was last week. That didn't happen. Because I'm in the middle of the animation style of drawing lifestyle, which is these fucking deadlines. And so then I pointed him to a podcast that I recorded a few years back, 25 things they should teach you in art school, which Brandon has in the archive. I dragged this over. You can see this is it right here. The podcast SketchCraft archive, 25 things they ought to teach in art school. And I started to re-listen to a bit of this, and I need to re-record that because I think there's a lot of great information. It was when I first started doing the podcast, and I was talking really fast. Like that podcast.
Yeah, but that topic really hits home, for you, and I know it would for me with my household owing a lot of money to art school. So, I mean, you get kind of hyped up probably when you're talking about it.
And it was 25 things I had to get through. So I do know that was like the highest downloaded when we had that podcast up on the iTunes. It was like 50,000 downloads, and we normally got like 500.
Yeah, it was way high.
That one went around. But the question he wants to know is, I draw an animation style. He'd like to do that. How did I learn? 2, should he go to Full Sail Online to learn how to do it? So I'm going to answer in reverse. 1, should you go to Full Sail Online or any art school online or any art school to learn how to draw in the animation style of drawing? And that answer is no. No, you should not. And there's going to be a few reasons. I'm going to explain slowly, methodically, as clear as I can be. And why do I have this desk open? Because sometimes I feel like I might want to draw something. So why don't we just make this a little interactive, right? And go art school. And then over here, I can draw the Reaper of Death, right, to go with it, right? Just a reap. And in the grave is all the money you would have earned for retirement for the remainder of your life, or a house mortgage going into the evil. That's right here. This is, let's just make this, let's have some fun, right? Let's make this green. There's all your cash, right? And then we'll be careful with a little highlight here, a little green highlight on the cash. How about some of that, right? And then below this, right, this, let's just say this yellow is your hopes and dreams, right? This is hopes, right? And this is the people who own these schools. This is
All
what
right.
they are. This is what they look like. All right, this is them under here,
That
right?
is really good. Spot on.
And they got, all right. Want a little, the beast, all right? And they're gonna, this whole thing about art schools, the basic premise is that we live in a pretty creative market, right? You're surrounded by
Mhm.
creativity these days. You know, you got movies, Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, action figures, hot toys, video games. You're surrounded by entertainment.
Mhm.
And a lot of people out there have the desire to create entertainment, to be creative. And these schools say we are going to help get you a degree so that then you can enter that field and be creative too. The problem is there's no such thing as a creativity degree. Let me let me draw this little here, right? Right? Degree in owing money. There's no such thing as a creativity degree. The only thing they can guarantee with a degree is that you owe money. Period. The question is how much do you owe versus
Yeah.
how much you're going to get a return on that investment. Now, when you talk to a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old about a return on investment, they don't fucking care.
Right.
When I was 18, I understood what college is when I was 18. But when it came to the Army, I was like, well, it's 4 years. Well, you know, that wouldn't be a big deal. I didn't really think about the term, lifelong knee injuries, back injuries you're going to incur doing all that stuff in the Army. And by the time I got back out, I wanted to get to be better than I could be. I had reached a plateau in my own creativity, my own ability to draw, and I wanted help to kind of move into the next area. I was limited in my ability to move. There was no such thing as online classes. So we had a local for-profit art school called the Art Institute. And they were very tiny at the time. And I decided to enroll in that. And I think my tuition was going to be 44, 46. Let's just say 50K, right? Let's just round it up. That was going to be my tuition in 2002. Okay? Starting Jan 2002. 50K. It's my total tuition. And I figured, all right, if I make $45,000 a year when I get out, I could probably have it paid off within 10 years. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal.
Right.
What I didn't understand was all the interest and everything else that was going to be added to this, plus the fact that they jack rates up as you go along. That wasn't a fixed cost.
Right.
So at the end, I ended up owing closer. By the time I got out in 2006, it was late 2006. I drug this shit out. I ended up owing 75K.
Yes.
Now I made full payments every month
Uh-huh.
until 2009 December. I remember the month when Play went under because I roll back a year in 2008. We had the recession. Remember Bernie Madoff and all that stuff, Brandon? They made a movie about it called The Big Short.
Yep.
So this killed all of my creative enterprises. It knocked out my primary source of income. It knocked out my secondary source of income and forced me to start a podcast called SketchCraft. How you doing? Welcome. See what we've all done with that?
Yes.
It also forced me to do deferred payments. And those deferred payments ballooned my interest. By the time I was able to go back to making regular payments, the interest had ballooned so much that if I had paid it off over the course of 25 years, I would have ended up owing $158,000. And that would have been 27 months straight of $1,000 a month. Who can afford $1,000 a month to repay their loans, Brandon?
Not
In
me.
art. In art.
Yeah.
In art. So now you're like, well, this is Full Sail Online, Rob. Here's the little nifty thing they don't tell you. They charge more for convenience. They charge more for convenience. It is convenient to go online. So your tuition is going to cost a lot more. But guess what you get in return for spending more? Nothing. See this blank slate? Matter of fact, less than nothing. You get a worse education.
Yes.
Because who went to the Art Institute online, Brandon?
My wife.
And I've been working with her for about a year now.
Yes.
And she's seen the holes in her education.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. And we are, last I checked, you want me to say the number that we owe?
Yeah, if you feel free. Please, because these people are getting fucked, Brandon. Help somebody.
Last I checked, I haven't asked my wife since because I don't want to know. It was $90,000.
Oh, God.
That's for online. She finished, and she got the degree, the little paper. And now we haven't started paying the big amount yet. And I know it's coming this year, I believe, or soon. And I'm just dreading it. 90,000 as of right now. It's only going to go up. So it's just whatever.
There are not a lot of jobs in this industry that are going to pay you 90,000 without some sort of coding experience. Okay? Art and design jobs these days, right, tend to max out at around 36K on average. Go to Indeed. Go to, Craigslist if you want to. See entry-level jobs. Now, if you get a job like at a big gaming company where you're like senior technical artist, that could go up to about 50 to 60K. But what they don't tell you is you're going to be living in pricey neighborhoods. California, Seattle, maybe if you're lucky, Texas.
Yeah.
So $50,000 to $60,000 in Southern California, which is what I was making when I was last in a t-shirt job. I was making about 50. Meant I was basically making nothing. I could barely afford an apartment and a car and to pay my whatever. Now, I paid off my student loans. How did Rob pay off his student loans, Brandon?
How, Rob?
Oh, I'll show you with one easy drawing. My dad and my mom died. Right? Equals inheritance. Inheritance minus student loans equals $0. I got very fortunate that my father in 1989 bought life insurance before he was diagnosed with diabetes and left me some sum of money. And my mother inherited some money from her father, from my grandfather, and I got supposed to get half, but I got a small portion because my brother ripped me off, and I'm not even going to get into that conversation. And combined with those two, I was able to spend, want to know how much money I spent last year, Brandon? I spent $71,000. Because when I got my inheritance, I didn't buy a car and go to trips to Disney World. I spent basically the entire bit to relieve myself, free myself from the bonds. I figured the one thing my parents could do, and my father and I were close, my mother and I not as close, and she had her own personal demons and stuff, and so it's an unfortunate story. Y'all find out life's a little bit of a tragedy, folks. Why Shakespeare's so good. But it took this. I would never be able to pay off those loans because the market has changed so much.
Yeah.
It has changed. Even when I started in school, it was one thing. But now it's so far removed from being able to earn a steady living unless you're doing something very technical. If you're doing rigging, if you're able to do modeling, if you're able to do something very technical besides just the drawing component. The drawing component, is there money to be made full-time? Yes, you can go on to Twitter right now, type in DC Marvel artist, and find some people that are doing really well with that. But let me show you something, folks. This represents this is right here, right? Just really quickly, Brandon, right? These represent all the people who want to be full-time artists who just draw, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Out of these this represents all the people who finally gain the technical ability to make that happen. Okay? And this represents the amount of people that can actually afford to do it in a first world country. That is the reality.
Yeah.
That is the reality, folks. When you watch a Marvel movie and you see director, writer, and then, okay, a little longer with the actors, get it? And then this wall of fucking words appears. And what is that? Those are all the digital artists it took to make that happen. Do you think they're getting, if you combine all the money that the people in the front of those credits got, the director, the writer, the producer, all the actors, and you add all their salaries up, do you think it's going to equal what they paid all those other artists, the thousands of artists? Probably not, if not the same. You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't, you're just not going to make a lot. So if you, the biggest example of this would be the anime industry, wherein in the anime industry, if you're a full-time animator, they say you make about $1,400 a month, if you're lucky.
Right.
$1,400 a month. Meanwhile, what they don't tell you is the sound engineer, the guy who mixes all the sound, one guy makes $120,000 a year because they have a union. So the problem is numbers, you know, numbers. They need lots of people to do it. Now in comics there is just one artist, that's true, except the rates haven't changed much. When you are able to get a good rate, there's already how many people in front of you? You ever notice that the top people in comics have been kind of the same top people for the last 20 years? There's some new people, they kind of come in and out, but then they don't last 5 or 6 years.
No.
How many of them, the top people, last 5 or 6 years in this industry? Most of them don't. Then they move on to something else. Even Steven Platt, he used to make $50,000 an issue, got out and made music videos.
Yeah.
At the height of the best stuff, you know, so there's something to be done. It's just the likelihood, right? This was pretend. Instead of art, let's pretend that this diagram represents sports. Here's all the people in the world that want to play professional sport. Here's all the people in turn that gain just enough talent to do it. And these represent the amount of people who are able to do it professionally. Same analogy. Well, let's take sports out of there and let's call this acting, right? Right? And let's take that out and let's call it politics. Want to be president, right? Want to be president. All the people that want to do that, the amount of people that actually survive the process and that have the capable technical ability to do it, and how many people get chosen? One. One. Every 4 years. I mean, you got a much better chance of winning the lotto. Think about that. So,
is there a silver lining here, Rob?
The silver lining is, actually I do have a way out, because I need to break down the barriers that these, when you go to Full Sail Online or Art Institute, I don't fucking care who it is. I'm not singling any school out, okay? Right. These schools cannot teach you to be an artist. They can fulfill the required curriculum that the state mandates, whatever state they're in, right? They can fulfill the curriculum the state mandates and give you some technical knowledge that will fulfill the requirements to obtain a degree that they can then mortgage you for the rest of your life on. But they cannot teach you to make a video in which you can take little stick figures and draw some shit around and explain this to you. They can't teach you this. You know? And in the creative industry, you have to find a way to bring your voice, your emotion, your storytelling, whether it's one image, 100 images, whatever it is, your personal je ne sais quoi, whatever, you know, French for I don't know fucking what that means, you know, like it means a certain something, but they can't do that. What do you do in lieu? You want to be an artist, you want to learn the animation style, whatever, you want to learn realistic style, but here's some healthy tips, especially, okay, you're 32, you're thinking maybe I missed out on life. Not really. There's some things you can do. One, you need, I would suggest this. Get a community college, okay? Your local community college. Enroll in some basic art classes that are going to teach things like fundamental of perspective, technical drawing, right? Where you're going to learn how to do, you know, 2-point, you're going to learn how to do 1-point, perspective, you know, and then take some entry-level 3D modeling classes where you're going to learn how to like model body, you know, build a little wire rig and shit, rig stuff up, sculpt heads and faces, and pay for that with the Board of Governors fee waiver, pay for it out of your pocket pretty cheaply. Gain some of that initial knowledge, okay? And then spend a year just building from that knowledge. Construction, perspective, basic 3D modeling. That's year one.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I always recommend like Scott Robertson has, I'll show you a couple of things like
Nomon videos.
No, not Nomon videos specifically, because a lot of them are just fucking filler bullshit. But Scott Robertson made one that I always.
Well, you're looking
basic
that up.
Perspectives right here. It's basic perspective form drawing. He did this back in 2004. This is the one I recommend. This is the least fun to do, and it hurts Brandon's head. You could just get to part 4 or 5 and spend a year on this.
Right. This is the Nomon I was talking about. This video, this that you sent over to me.
Scott Robertson's basic form drawing.
And if you guys go to my Instagram, Lead Heavy, you'll see me doing these lines drawings over and over, box drawings over and over and over, and you know sometimes I forget to do them and I get back into it, but it's never ending. You got to really.
Why, Rob? Why draw constructed in perspective? Let me tell you why. Because if you're going to do any kind of drawing, character drawing, storytelling, you need to not see a 2D flat surface. I don't see the paper looking like this. I see the paper looking like this. Or really for me, I see it looking like this. This is how I see.
Right.
And I have to try to train my mind to see like this so that I could take something like this and at any point I can erase a section out, I'll just go here, and then I can come in here and draw in perspective any section I want. I can take an element, bring it through here, bring it out into perspective any way I choose. You have to train your mind to see three-dimensionally, even if you're rendering two-dimensional images. That is what's going to allow you to do a multitude of things, one of which is draw in any style you want. I don't see styles as cross-hatching or, you know, realistic anatomy versus goofy anatomy. I don't see anatomy like these little outlines where you draw bubble muscles.
Right.
I see it as construction shapes, the same as a 3D model. I see it like this. And once I get the basic shape down, I can then go in and construct it in drawing from center, three-dimensional, and I can change the shapes any way I want. I can make them realistic, I can make them animated, whatever I want to do depending on the type of anatomy. This right here is obviously more cartoony because it's just faster for the sake of conversation. And you have to train your mind to see like this. No school can teach you that. I didn't learn this in college. What I learned in college was I was fucked. And I got very angry, and all my friends around me thought I was going crazy. Because I really thought I thought if I had learned 2D animation, how to be able to animate in 2D by hand, that I would learn the basics of all this stuff. Silhouetting, follow through, weight, all the stuff I'd read in Disney books. I have one. It's called, I'll show this to you. This is not a cheap book. This is like a $300 book. Hold on. First print edition. Disney's The Illusion of Life. Right? Written by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson, two of the original 9 old men. I read this front to back, right? Studying all forms of Disney animation, all the theories and all the stuff. This has more information than any school I went to. Now, will some of these people who go to these schools do well, produce great portfolios, have great jobs? Yes, they will. There were people from my school who had good jobs and did well. Were they the best artists? Nope. Nope. But they were good at doing a lot of technical jobs that needed to be filled. And some of them were good, better than me. And there's always going to be someone better than you. The question is, are you going to, statistically speaking, be able to make back $90,000 plus interest and tuition? No.
No.
Go to community college, gain the basics, spend a year developing them, send me back what you got after about 12 months of fucking, how many hours a week would you think you had to put into it minimum? 15 to 30 hours?
Oh, yeah.
Put part-time job work hours into this, folks. Stop posting pictures of Spider-Man and Wolverine to your Instagram to gain likes. Don't post, I'm drawing Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman's coming out this month. You're not at that level yet. How many years do you think I developed? Folks, I've been on the internet full-time. When I started really producing like my art, and I would say 98, 99, I was on the internet. And there was only one guy talking about this. His name was Francis Tsai, T-S-A-I. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. But he had this website called Polytron or whatever, and he was the only one talking about this stuff. And unfortunately, he passed away. He got some crazy disease, dude, and fucking couldn't control his hands. He had to like draw with his eyes and shit. So sad, bro. And it's like, I realized at the time I wasn't as good as Francis. So I didn't spend all my time posting needless fan art to boards to get approval when I knew I didn't have the entry level. If you're looking at your stuff and you know how much effort it took to make it, and it isn't at a basic, level of standard that the industry is already accepting, and if you actually don't even understand what that is, then we shouldn't be talking. This channel's not a very good place for entry level info, other than general guidelines, and then I shoo you off. Come back to me when you're at the mid-tier level, because I can't teach you construction better than Scott Robertson. I can't teach you, you know what I mean? Like Francis Su, ZAHU, he did some great ones on basic form drawing on Nomon from 2004. Basic level stuff. I can't teach you better than them, The original, for Maya, learning Maya, do basic 3D. Digital tutors, when they were still around, had some how to build a pod racer. I want to say from like 2000. There was like, I don't know which version of it, but it was like how to design a pod racer. It takes you through all the steps of making a pod racer. I mean, if you can't find that shit because their stuff's gone, just go to the torrents and get it if you can't buy it. Try to buy it to support them, but if you can't, because like digital tutors went away and now it's part of some fucking other site, get that. Learn this stuff. Train your mind and do it with spending the least amount of money. Because right now, a style, again, is just form. It's just different shapes. And if you can't see those shapes, then just because someone explained it as I explained it to you over a course of 11 weeks and charge you $3,000 doesn't mean you're going to understand it any better.
Right.
It is impossible. I used to sit in class and go, great, they said they taught us about perspective. No one here, the teacher barely understood perspective, and they're teaching it. I can't understand. I've been doing perspective in construction for the better part, seriously, 20 years.
Right.
1997, no, before that, 25, 27 years now, and I still unlock things. And you're like, well, Rob, will they give you the basics? Not for the price they're charging.
Right.
And then once you get to the level where you're at the optimum area of really starting out, you need to find, if you really need some more instruction, you need to find like, they call this Atelier, ATLIER. It's like some of those high-end fine art classes. You find someone that really paints and stuff, and then you do like those that run like $750 a pop. So do one a year and come back, And if you really want a degree to improve your life, just get one from community college. Take 9 years to get it, and pay it all off. Walk out with it scot-free. I have one friend who did that as an artist. Smartest guy I ever met in art. And I just thought that community college was a place where you weren't going to learn art. What I didn't realize is a lot of the teachers there were people that were, especially in California, there were people working at studios and Disney and stuff. They just wanted extra side money to pay the bills regularly, and teaching was way better than freelance, which may not pay you for net 90 or whatever. So,
yeah.
Do I have any other questions? Have I answered this pretty good, Brandon? Or do we have some feedback in the forums?
Real quick, some people are asking about just wanting a female anatomy and maybe feet, hands, or legs, arm type anatomy in the future, which we've talked about either making a separate video
Yeah,
about.
I would say the problem with saying teaching hands and feet and stuff is that, like, look, what kind of hand? Here's a Mega Man hand. I see a Mega Man hand when I do this.
Hmm.
You know, can you see the hand? You know, like I don't know. Like I come back here and back engineer the construction. So oh, that doesn't look right. So this would be more like this,
Right.
the way the hand works. I'm not the best person for that. I've been thinking about it. Like, how do I explain? The best thing I
Right.
can do right now is I have the silhouette videos, you
Right.
know?
In the
And if you
archives.
really want to learn, like, take photographs of hands. There's plenty of female reference in the world, bro, right? But
Yeah.
rebuild stuff. Rebuild it. Model females. I would say take up 3D modeling as a side to learn how things are actually constructed. If you know how they're constructed, then you can start to draw them, you know? These are big goofy hands because I'm in the mood to draw big goofy hands. But I mean, they're, I could, sometimes you see these artists have these endless papers filled with drawing ankles and feet. I did that in college to the point where now I don't have to do it,
Right.
and I mean, like explaining that process. There's just so many people doing it, right? How to draw hands and feet. There's going to be endless. Here's what I'll tell you what not to do. That's easy. Don't trace over 3D models. Stop with it, folks. You know, you
Yeah.
gotta, if you in your head can't sit down and sketch, just watch someone run where they're like running, I'm not even looking at someone running. I'm just basic shapes, where I figured the action would go, you know, if
Right.
you, this takes years. This takes years, and then can you take this and can you make it more dynamic where it's like coming at you like the Flash or a Jim Lee thing, so his knees up here, and this is receding into background. It's all super thin. This is going back, And can you take the camera and then, what if I took that same pose, but I thought about it underneath? So there's foot's here, and the legs going this way, and that means like the hands this way. No, 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 I got it wrong. The I gotta think about this. So this comes back here, and this would go forward. I'm a little dyslexic. And then there's no simple explanation other than I found that I mean, being able to lay it out in silhouette. This is a super rough sketch, is the easiest way I've been able to develop this process. But this came from learning how to do everything correctly, the hard way, by studying life, rebuilding each little thing into shape, studying phone, studying cup, looking at can you draw your cup, right? Forget hands and feet, how to draw chicks, because it's cool. Take this fucking cup. Can you look at this cup, turn it in any direction, and draw it? You know what I mean? Like, kind of look at it and recede back and reconstruct this coming into here, And then, take that same cup and can I, tell a story with it, or it's on a table and it falls down and it rolls into perspective dynamically this way. Because if you can't fucking get the cup thing to work, why are you wasting your time learning how to draw hot chicks?
Right.
Because let me tell you something, the trick to drawing comics is learn to draw everything but the characters. They assume you know how to draw characters. If you can't draw the other shit, then they don't care. In
Yeah.
animation, it's called the bouncing ball. I spent a year in animation, right? This class, doing it all by hand, should have been in Flash, where you just take a ball and you have to animate it like super light ball. So it would fall super fast and then shoot straight up and then do 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 do. Or it'd have to be super heavy, so it'd fall and then just make like, it'd fall into the ground, crack this stuff out, learning weights. And then I had to take all that shit and figure out how to put it into one drawing, my art, because I don't like animating. So I want it all to animate in one drawing. I want my stuff to feel like it has energy,
Right.
emotion. And so when you see, Rob, your drawings feel like they're alive, because I've really worked at that. And I don't know how to make one video on it other than to say that, your intention, is important. Understanding the fundamentals to the point where you've studied enough. You've drawn it enough. Model some female women. Model cartoon, model realistic. Fail at it 700 fucking times. You know?
I fail all the time,
Yeah,
and
I don't
I
want to
keep
cut you
going.
off. I don't want to cut you off, but I believe like this process is basically like that entire movie, Edge of Tomorrow, right? It was like Groundhog Day in a way. Like,
Yes.
he's just
Yeah.
getting waxed. He's just getting killed over and over
Yes.
and over again. That's what it's like,
Uh-huh.
you know?
It it's y- yeah, drawing is everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you have that hobby to be creative and stuff." It's if you don't have a headache at something, if you're not sitting there trying to figure it out and really work it out. I mean, I get headaches trying to figure it out sometimes where I'm just like, what am I trying to make here? What am I trying to do? And that's when I know I'm on the right path, where I'm like, I'm pushing myself mentally to make something creative. I want to put out good stuff. If I'm just like, I mean, I spent so many years drawing crap. Like, I mean, I appreciate anyone who's ever bought art from me in the past at conventions and shows and stuff. I really do appreciate it. But there came a point where I was like, okay, I need help. And I came to Rob and I was like, can you just lay it out for me? And he told me my shit's fucking sucked. He told me why. Not it sucked as a person, but why. It didn't have the construction. It didn't have the magic to it. It didn't have all the things that brings art to life to make people really want to buy it. I hid behind a lot of things like splatter technique and spray paint and different trendy shit that I was just doing. And it worked at some cons. I mean, there's a con where I made more money than Rob, believe it or not, but it doesn't last. It doesn't hold up when you don't know what you're really constructing and making. So even now, like I haven't been posting a lot lately, and I know I've lost a few followers, but the things I've been working on, I'm not ready to post. I'm not ready to show people that I'm spending all this time on hours a night constructing and redrawing and redrawing and redrawing and building to the point where I can hopefully one day do like Rob does, where he just can sit here and make shit, just pull it out of his ass, more or less his brain, and make it look cool because it's time in. It's not just one class. It's going to be a year, 2 years, 3 years, headaches, late nights, and it's hard work. It's not I mean, you can do it for fun, but if you're wanting to be serious about it, you have to really put the time in. And if you're talking about classes, you don't want to know that you owe. I mean, it sucks that my wife knows that we owe $90,000 for fucking art school when, yeah, she knows a lot of stuff and it's helped work with Rob and stuff, but there's shit that she never would have learned in school that she's learned now.
I was able to connect the pieces. The
Right.
schools don't teach her enough how to connect all the pieces. They don't
Right.
teach you how to work with the client, how to sit down. Like I believe an art school, and I'm going to redo that 25 things in art school and try to go through the process. I want to do an addendum to, like a revision to, how I
Uh,
think art schools should work when they're teaching this sort of thing or any kind of art curriculum. Because I assume an art school is you're going to try to become a commercial artist. You're going to sell things to people or get paid in order to produce work for them that they will approve and then pay you for it. And part of that is here's the idea. I think like assignments should go like this. Teachers should say, I want, a Batman drawing. Let's just say for the sake of argument, right?
mhm.
Now you have to go, and Batman has to have these certain things, and it needs to feel like this. And we're kind of targeting ages 18 to 35. You're like, what? You just some absurd 18 to 35 bucks. You have no idea what
Yeah.
that. If you're in your 20s, you got a ways to learn on that one. But and then you send back. You should do a pitch. Here's 6 thumbnails. Here's 8 thumbnails. Here's 12 thumbnails, and they should always be unreasonable. Kick it back and demand more. And then total up all the hours that you spent on that project over 11 weeks, invoice it, and then not get paid. Because they're not. Then you get to pay them money. Like there's just this way that they teach art that doesn't prepare people for the reality of it. And some people, like with YouTube and Patreon and with cons, some guys just make the con rounds. They've been able to make a living from that, and if, not always a $50,000 a year living, like a $12 an hour job living, which most artists take. Well, hey, I was going to probably work that 12-hour job anyway, so better making art than working at the Circle K down the street. Some of them end up with millions of followers, and you're going to look at their Patreon. I always get these people like, go look at this artist. They make $20,000 a month. I'm like, how many? Well, that one, and then that
Right.
one. And I'm like, right, out of the millions of fucking people on there, like a handful of them have pulled that off, you know? Like, the best advice I can give is if you don't like my advice, good.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else and get the advice that you want to hear and see how it works out for you. You know? Because if I was afraid of all this stuff happening to me before I started, I let it go, rolled the dice, and all of it happened anyway. A lot of the negative stuff. And if I could just go back and do one thing differently in my life, the only thing, I would never have signed up for the Art Institute or for a for-profit. I would have gone and got a community college degree in the same amount of time, paid in full. And knowing how I work and the steps I took for my career, I would have ended up in the same or better position that I am today. Everything that I've been able to do has been because of me. Period. Putting forth maximum effort every time. How many times, Brandon, have we been on here and fans have been like, Rob, just do less. To do a little less, you'd be done faster. I'm like, but look at what I've been able to do. You know? Well, if you do less, you could do more. Well, I don't want to do more. I want to do I want everything I would do moving forward to look at this or better moving forward. I'm always on the next thing. How to add a little more detail, how to improve my coloring, how to make things a little bit more efficient. But there is a point where you're not going to be able to save more time or gain, a ton more skill. You can change how you draw, but if everything you do is based off some weird gimmick, having to look at a million things and hopefully what's popular on the internet, good luck. You're not going to be able to invent anything from scratch. And no school can teach you how to invent things from scratch. They can't teach quality. They just can't. And very few of them even know how to integrate the different components into one thing. So, I mean, the only other story I can give to this is someone asked me once to teach them how to draw on DeviantArt. I said, $60 a class. Ready? They're like, cool. They gave me $60. I gave them an assignment. They came back. I looked at it. I said, great. Come back in 6 months. Keep doing that for 6 months, and we'll have your second class. He's like, what? I'm like, here's your money back. You know what I mean? Like, that's life. Like, you're just going to, he didn't want to, he's like, well, I want to get better. I'm like, I don't want your money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want your money. What I want you to do is learn that you're going to have to put forth the effort, and it's going to be tedious in the beginning, and it's going to hurt your head. And if it seems like you're having a lot of fun,
Yes, I agree.
and if it seems like you're having too much fun in the beginning, you're having too much fun, and you're not doing enough work. That's my biggest fucking advice. You know how many artists I know now who think they're professionals because they go to Comic Cons and they go to artist alleys and they do whatever they want to do. They become these little art clones. They all do those. You got a bunch of them doing a grip of trendy art. Sometimes it's Cheesecake Girl. Sometimes it's, Marvel characters as robots. And then the other guys is like it's Polygon people. And the next thing is it's fucking Adventure Time as fucking the X-Men. And they just follow these little trends. But you stick around long enough, they don't last. They don't get better. And then you're like a 60-year-old dude drawing weird shit. And it's because they didn't have the proper foundation. Draw all the weird shit you want. Sam Keith draws some weird shit, but he had a proper foundation.
Right.
Before he started doing all that stuff. And, Capullo's always fucking put forward the effort. Dude, Capullo's just as, you know what I mean? Like, the people who put forth the ground effort back in the day and didn't shortchange themselves, move forward 20, 30 years, they still have it. Wendy Peeney, dude, the ElfQuest chick, man, her art, it's always been solid. It's not always my cup of tea, but I can look and go, it's very well rendered.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. I wish there were more female artists growing up in the comic industry for me to quote. It'll be interesting to see now the wave of female artists that, grow into this industry and stick around and, versus the ones that are just like any other artist are just taking shortcuts and doing trend of the fucking week. You know,
Right.
let me just draw Squirrel Girl, 800 fucking ways till Sunday, or Harley Quinns, 8 million Harley Quinns, and then what you notice is every one of their drawing becomes a little bit more of a parody of the last one, a little bit bigger chins, a little bit bigger eyes, and then it sort of delves into like just nonsense, cheap, generic shit. And I don't respond to that. I never responded to people that produce tons of crap. You know, like that's where like the Liefeld question comes in. Like, there's a guy if he just applied himself and did less. You know, I like the graphic art. I don't mind the cross hatching. It's when he applies himself. But when his guns look like little fucking thin cardboard. They look like the people at Comic Con running around with those cardboard pew pews now because they can't make real props. You know, like when your best efforts look like you fucking didn't give a shit to earn a fucking paycheck, I don't got any respect for
Right.
it. And these art schools do the same thing. They crowd a ton of artists in there. I watched Art Institute do it. It went from like a group of maybe 50 people in my class to 350 people when they built this giant building. They started bringing in people with mental problems, dude. Serious mental people. We're talking people that should have been under constant care
Uh-huh.
because they could sign them up for loans. The one day there will be a reckoning for the people at these for-profit schools who have taken advantage of veterans, people with mental health, mental challenges, single moms who are trying to make a life for themselves, and kids right out of high school. This kid, the last story I'm going to give you folks, when I was at AI, the year before the last year, they brought a bunch of kids from high school in to get a tour. A year later, and they're like, yeah, well, we're starting our senior year and we want to get a feel for where we're going to go. And I gave them the deal. Don't come here. Don't do it. And one kid was like, well, it's only going to be like 100 grand. I'm like, or at the time it was 70,000. I'm like, you have no idea what that means. Well, the same kid a year later was there. I was like, I came back. I'm like, I told you not to come here. He's like, well, I mean, I'm getting like the degree's 120 and it's in, he's like, well, it's in this 3D thing, as opposed to what you do. And I'm like, as opposed to what I do. So you got it all figured out, right? Well, I can tell you right now, that kid's not working on anything. Keep in contact, bro. He's doing jack squat. He's probably going to end up owing more than a house mortgage when he
Yeah.
gets done. You know? This industry is based on what you know and how well you produce it. And how quickly you can work. So if I only want to work at a certain rate, there's only so much I can make. You know? And I'm fine with that. I've learned to live with it. If it means I have a side job, if I decide every couple of years I get bored of working in my room, I take a part-time job till I get tired of that and I come back here. You know? Like if I always say if you have someone in your life who makes a real living, then I'd take a part-time job, put all that money into your retirement so you guys have something when you fucking get old and shit because you're not going to have Social
Right.
Security, and then use your art to gain fame and have people compliment you all the fucking time and produce your best stuff. And that's not a bad way to live. I think the biggest thing is people are like, if you're not doing this full time and you're not making the money, you're not the rock star. You're a failure. And it's like this industry, there is no one way. There is no one way.
Yeah.
There's too many people, too many things, not enough money to go around. I think this, if you're producing quality work, and you're consistent and you're producing the things that you can look back on your life when you're in a bed somewhere dying, you could be like, that was all worth the fucking effort. Like I could not go to the Art Institute to get a degree in drawing Game Informer covers. You understand what I'm saying? Like this,
Right.
that doesn't. They didn't even like me at my school, man. They didn't like me. My teachers thought I was annoying. There was like two that liked me. A lot more like me now. Funny how the times change, you know?
You should make your screen bigger so people can see that better.
Well, I got the speed videos are up, folks. You want to see the Game Informer? It's everywhere.
I'm just saying right now it looks like a big white screen in a line. Unless we're
Um,
wrapping this up.
Whatever. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, dude. So I
All
don't
right.
give a shit, folks. I here's the thing. We do this live, so this is the little thing. This is my little advice. I don't know what more to say to it. Other than I'm trying not to talk as fast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to slow down. And then look, if this bored you, this wasn't the channel for you either. I'm okay with losing followers. I'm okay with that. I only want the ones that have the fortitude to endure. I
Yes.
don't care about 3 million fucking people on YouTube praising me. I don't give a shit about it. What I care about is that anyone that comes here got the real fucking shit, and I am doing my best to help you produce the best art you can produce. You know? And we'll see what Brandon can do, but you know, I can't do the work for you. And for the love of fucking Christ, people, do not indenture yourself to these art schools. Please don't do it. So, anything else, Brandon?
Just a shout out real quick to Joey, MK Samurai, Pegasus, Brain Gamer, Darth Andrew, and anybody I missed. Retro, Jaws, Draws, Jamal, Darth Art, Joey. Thanks for
So,
watching. We appreciate you guys chatting and also comments and things, and hopefully this helps and any other videos helps. And if you have any questions or you want to see any kind of videos in the future, don't be afraid to ask. Just, make a formed, good, solid question on what you're really going for. So if you're just like, how do I draw this? Be more specific. Say, I'm an artist. I'm working on bettering myself at this project or becoming.
I'll be honest though,
whatever.
Brandon. If people ask me how to draw hands and feet, I'll just refer you to how to draw hands and feet on the Google, and you'll figure it out.
Right. That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
not
So,
that good at teaching basic stuff, folks. I don't. I'm really good at looking at what you're currently doing and trying to help finish that. So, like, case in point, Darth Andrew has a piece he's coloring. He needs some specific help on. Tomorrow night, I'll spend some time to explain what I would do tackling that specific project. I'm very good with specific projects, specifics. When it's general art knowledge, I'm just going to point to you to type into Google and find the
Google,
fucking find the explanation that clicks with your mind. Because what if what I explain to you doesn't? If I tell you how to draw something and that doesn't make any sense to you, then you're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, I know exactly what I'm talking about. You just don't get it.
Right.
You know?
I think that always when people do that, it reminds me of when people will ask me if I draw people. How I see you isn't how you see yourself. That's why I don't do caricatures. But that's what it reminds me when people are like, how do you draw feet? Well, how I see feet and how you see feet are two different things. I mean, if the construction's good.
How do I draw feet so X pays me? If it's me
Right.
paying me, I'll draw big ass feet. If it's Marvel paying
Right.
me, can't do it.
Little feet. Yeah,
Can't do it. Can't do it. Better off just tracing feet, sad to say. So, these questions, they go, for me, it's like a prism. They go infinitely into the abyss. And when I hold back from answering them, it's because I'm like, I don't know if I can ever properly answer that. I could spend 3 hours. Folks, I could spend another 2 hours talking about art schools easily. I could spend all night. You want to do this till 8 a.m.? Want to do a 12-hour talking about art school marathon? But what I don't do is I'm not going to sit here and edit this into like a 6-minute jump cut video so you get the gist of the information. My guess is the people who didn't want to stick around for an hour, oh well. If an hour of getting some fucking personal advice, from a person you don't really know, like some personal real advice isn't worth your time, you're never going to make it in a creative industry. Never. Period. Because it's too much. You can be in a meeting where very little information is disseminated for an hour or two. Brandon felt a few of those when he worked with me in an art department once. You've seen some of those meetings. We're just sitting there like, but everyone wants the quick, how do you distill this down? Well, it's easier for YouTube digestion. Well, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Easier doesn't mean that, maybe the gravity of what I'm saying doesn't click in till 45 minutes in, an hour in, an hour and a half in. Maybe when you really start to think about it, you look at everything, you're looking at my stuff while I'm talking, you're thinking about all your art, that small little quick videos, those are really good for trying to tell you why an X-Men movie was good or not good. But I think when it comes to life fucking advice, bro, and your career, you probably take a little bit more time to go into depth and ask yourself, what do I want from this? Do I want to be a professional artist at DC? Look at what DC's producing. Can you produce at that level? Can you with the lamest characters that gave you fucking Paste Pot Pete or Jimmy Olsen super dork, draw the lamest shit. And if you can get people excited about the lamest characters, you're good to go.
Right.
But if you need to lean on Batman and Harley Quinn and the Turtles to make a name for yourself, you're not going to get those opportunities. Not at first, unless you're doing Artist Alley, which then draw whatever you want to draw, man. Life's a fucking ball. Have a good time. But, the realities are when they're paying, it's based on what they have room to pay for, and there you go. What
right,
else?
we're good.
Okay.
I think that's a
Told you
good.
I can go. I can go on right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
You're gonna give me.
you're starting a whole nother video. We're good.
Yeah. All right. All right,
We're
everybody.
good.
I'll be back soon. Peace.
Bye bye, everybody.
I got a lot of work to do. Don't take on crazy student loans.